Atlas Shrugged was published in 1957 and is still a bestseller. It was recently number 84 in the literature category at Amazon.com. The book has been boosted by endorsements from Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Paul Ryan, the Tea Party, and Satan. It's a perennial favorite among high school and college students with enough free time to read a 1,200-page book and such little experience with the real world that the book's message makes sense to them. Good luck if you try to read this book as an adult with common sense who's been exposed to the real world. Many have tried and failed, including Cenk of the Young Turks, who gave up after a few pages, saying it was the most boring book he ever read, and he made it through law school. Talk show host and author Tom Hartman couldn't finish it and had to read the Cliff's Notes version instead. Author Gore Vidal described Ayn Rand's fiction as unreadable. Ayn Rand herself reported that the few good reviews of Atlas Shrugged came from people who didn't understand it. Indeed, of the readers who recommend this book, most don't seem to realize that it promotes atheism. Paul Ryan makes all his staff members read this book, using taxpayers' money to promote an anti-Christ message. Did anyone from the religious right even notice? When the author came to America from Russia, she changed her name from Melissa Rosenbaum to Ayn Rand. Short and sweet. This book is anything but. It's the size of the New York telephone directory, and is full of contempt and even hatred for almost everyone. Atlas Shrugged took 13 years to write and takes nearly that long to read. At least it seems like it. Besides being boring and having a hateful tone towards the common people, the book, which embodies Rand's philosophy of objectivism, is wrong in nearly all of its assertions and predictions about what the country would be like under liberal and conservative leaderships, often predicting the opposite of what happened in reality. Rand has the church siding with liberals and conservatives believing in science. The fact that Rand ignores the dictionary and makes up her own definitions for words doesn't help matters. Here's the plot. A small group of rich industrialists gets upset because the people have voted in a socialist government in America. But Atlas Shrugged doesn't depict a normal socialist government. It's the goofiest possible New Age socialist government that no one could possibly support. It's a total failure, yet Rand's dumb representations of socialists keep supporting it. Kind of like today's conservatives keep supporting trickle-down economics. The industrialists close down their businesses and go on strike, moving to a capitalist paradise in Colorado. Of course, this small group of Rand's heroes is indispensable, and the country and the world soon fall apart. Throughout the story, the phrase, "Who is John Galt?" is uttered by frustrated citizens. Far into the book, we learn who John Galt is, the leader of the industrialists, and the inventor of a new type of motor that is revolutionary, but that Galt keeps for himself and his fellow extreme capitalists because he doesn't want others to benefit from it. If you make it to page 1000, you might think you're home free as to the reading of Atlas Shrugged, but hold on. You're about to be hit with a 61-page speech by Galt that is the most boring, goofy nonsense you could imagine. Even Rand follower Ludwig von Mises couldn't stand to read it. Ayn Rand spent 2 years writing it, and yes, it feels like it takes that long to read it. Galt gives a speech over national radio that he has rigged so that only his message can be heard. Kind of like today's talk radio, where only nonsensical conservative propaganda is heard. In Atlas Shrugged, Rand divides the population into two groups. One group, her industrialist heroes, is made up of a small handful of rich, selfish, childless, laissez-faire capitalists who are tall, trim, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, good-looking, and disproportionately born into wealthy families. Her second group is made up of everyone else. These people are not only unattractive, they are referred to with words like evil and subhuman. Their political leaders are described as pudgy, flabby, short, and ugly. One looks like a, quote, rat-faced tennis player. Because this book is often mentioned in political discussions and is considered to be at the heart of the philosophy of today's Republican Party, it's worth reading. But it won't be easy. You'll need a plan. If you've got a high tolerance for nonsense, confusion, boredom, inaccuracy, hatred, and incorrect assertions, you might be able to read 10 pages a day and be done in less than 4 months. For someone with a normal threshold, a more realistic plan is 1 or 2 pages a day for 3 years. You'll have to buy the book because the library limits how many times you can renew and doesn't allow writing in the margins, especially the words you'll want to use. Don't waste your money buying a new copy of this book. Chances are you can pick it up cheap at a Tea Party yard sale. The first few pages may show some wear, but since most people can't get past page 10, the rest of the book should be like new. If you are one of the few that is able to get through Atlas Shrugged, you may wonder how anyone could be inspired by it. Do they have bad reading comprehension, or are they just plain evil? Consider that Atlas Shrugged was the inspiration for the Satanic Bible. The world of Atlas Shrugged is a place where only a small group of people with all kinds of advantages is considered to be worthwhile, and everyone else is considered to be subhuman. It's a world where the only child mentioned by name is an 8-year-old girl who is brutally assaulted in an attack that Rand minimizes by mentioning that the girl was ugly. A world where Rand hero Ragnar Danishold is cheered for sinking ships carrying relief supplies to starving people overseas. It's a world where Rand hero Hank Rearden asks God to bless Ellis Wyatt for setting his oil fields on fire. A world where Rearden considers his greatest victory to be not murdering his wife. Ayn Rand had bad things to say about almost everyone. As it turns out, her biographers had some choice things to say about her. Here is a sampling of what they had to say about Ayn Rand.